So like we definitely pull our weight, and I think it's and we can draw in revenue through alternative ways. Okay, this is what I'm saying. First, there was a hand kind of in the middle, and then I'll get down to you.
Well, I was just going to ask if you envision a world where it is possible for the major radio stations to be those run by, say, volunteers, with no advertisement whatsoever, no funding, completely run that way.
Like, are you asking what I think is realistic, or what I would like to see, or?
Well, realistic.
Can you repeat the question? It's just kind of a funny question.
I guess, is it possible for, in your mind, realistically, to have CJSR, for example, be the major radio station for Alberta, let's say? Like, it's an I-80.
Like, our goal, our mandate as a station is to challenge the status quo, right? So if we became the main station, I guess in a way, we'd be the status quo. But, I mean, on the other hand, if we were the status quo, that'd be a much different world, right? So it's kind of, it's a weird, I don't know how to really handle that. I mean, we're the source of the news you don't hear anywhere else, right? We're going to go down here and then up there. Oh.
I think I'm going to say something negative to prove it, or to back it up.
All right.
I think the days of advertisers dictating content are coming to an end very quickly. If you look at online radio in particular, you look at people like REALTOR, for example, Dig Nation, their flagship show. They are sponsored by the Zoom and by GoNet and things like that. They'll say it right in the middle of their show. The Zoom sucks, but Microsoft doesn't hold their content. There is a growing understanding amongst advertisers that if you give the people the freedom to do what they want to do, you putting your name on that says we back up that free journalism, basically. And I've seen that more and more and more of these forward-thinking companies sponsoring a show and not dictating anything about their content and being okay with that. And I know there's going to be corporations that are going to resist that because not everyone looks forward that way, but we're seeing that more and more and more, particularly in the bleeding edge of media.
I think you have to be careful using Dig Nation as an example. They also do 20-minute dream sequences of buffalo wings because they got.
But they still,
right.
they're still, yeah. I mean,
I see your point.
They have fun,
but
I've never seen them get blasted by their sponsors for saying that in
or
same breath
saying,
saying we're sponsored by the Zoom, but we think the Zoom sucks personally. Things like that, and in the next episode still sponsored by Microsoft.
I mean, I'm always skeptical when someone talks about a more progressive or friendly capitalism, just in general, right? I'm like, okay, I've heard this before, but like, I guess the main, like, what you point out there, like 20 minutes of doing just an advertising that's disguised as.
Well, it's pretty blatant. It's not disguised, right?
No, they're also.
I haven't actually listened to what you're talking about, but I mean, you will see that though too, right? It'll be an ad and it's disguised as programming or whatever. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is, if you still are having to put a certain amount of your show towards that advertising, then that's 5 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever that you can't put towards like better content, like more intelligent content, rather than just trying to sell someone's shtick.
Well, Leo Laporte will, Audible is one of his sponsors, and he only sponsors things he uses. First of all, that's one of his thing. They won't. You're not allowed to advertise on his network unless he likes what you're doing. But he does the way he does his Audible ads is they have their Audible pick of the week, and so everyone who's on the show will pick an audiobook that usually is relevant to what's going on, what they've been discussing in their show this time. So he ends up actually advertising while adding content at the same time. And these are I think the days of ads, this is an ad, this is not an ad, are starting to end. And I think there's enough advertising out there that you can choose who you want to go with now.
Sure. I think that blurring between content and advertising is really interesting. But I just don't know how our listeners would respond if I go, when I'm marching in the streets, when I'm protesting, I love to wear my Doc Martens sneakers.
So again, it's being upfront about it. It's partially an audience too. The social media audience really respects honesty and transparency. Basically, that's what they're looking for.
Yeah.
And they're okay with it. You're providing a service, and they're okay with listening to that 5-minute ad, and even supporting that that company who's making this possible, because these people are struggling a lot more than most, because they have their capital, their startup stuff. I mean, she said REALTOR pays for everything out of his own pocket, basically, and he's built an entire network out of it.
And that's how capitalism works.
Yeah.
People put in the capital, their own capital, and then they expect to get stuff in return, right?
Yeah, and he most of his passion for doing it. He got canceled from mainstream media too many times. He said, "Okay, I'm just going to do it myself now," and he's living off of that now, and it's doable. And he has sponsors, but he doesn't have sponsors that dictate any of his content.
Sure, I mean,
Dictates his sponsors.
Yeah, he dictates to his sponsors, exactly.
I mean, if he's created his little empire like that, that's great. But I mean, it's still, I mean, it's not community, right? Like, it's still. What's his name?
REALTOR, yes, he's got a massive community. It's called the Twit Army.
Okay. Oh, this is the Twitter.
No, this is called
Tech.
This Week in Tech is how it all started.
Okay.
And now he has more people coming in line to advertise than he has shows available.
So if he has this little thing, that's great that he's doing that. I mean, I'm much less critical of free enterprise than I am of big corporations, right? I mean, I still think that they can screw over workers, for example. But I mean, the thing about community radio is it's built by the grassroots, built by the community. It's people coming in, and everyone brings something to the table, right? As opposed to one person's vision. And I mean, maybe that's built. Yeah, I mean, that's great if he has a soapbox, but I think it's cooler if he has a soapbox, or if everyone has a soapbox, and, you know, we can step down and step off, and it's not just one guy's vision all the time. And if he fills like a niche like that, that's working for people, that's cool. But I think that we definitely do something that's unique.
Questions?
What time?
All right, thanks.